My father looked me in the eye and told me my brother was getting everything. The lake house, the brokerage account, Grandpa's 1967 Chevy. We were all sitting around Dad's dining table. Mom wouldn't look at me. My brother leaned back in his chair with his arms crossed, smirking like he'd already won. Dad slid a single photocopied page across the wood. "This is what Grandpa wanted," he said. "Your brother inherits the estate. You get the toolbox and a $5,000 savings bond." I didn't argue. I didn't raise my voice. I just reached into my bag, pulled out a manila folder, and slid it onto the table. Nobody opened it, but the room went completely silent. Why wasn't I saying anything? Because I knew something they didn't. Where are you watching from, and what time is it there? Hit that like button. You're going to want to see where this goes. Let me take you back. Grandpa wasn't rich, but he was careful. He'd been a machinist for 40 years. Kept every receipt, every warranty, every birthday card. He used to tell me, "Paper doesn't lie, kid." I spent my summers in his garage. We rebuilt carburetors, fixed old lawnmowers. He taught me to fish, to use a lathe, to read a schematic. My brother? He was the golden child. Private school. Law school tuition paid in full. His graduation photos lined the mantel at my parents' house. He didn't do chores. He didn't get grounded. And when Grandpa needed help cleaning out the shed or changing his oil, my brother had better things to do. I showed up. Every week I visited. I listened to Grandpa's stories about the old factory. I learned how he met Grandma at a county fair. I kept every handwritten note he ever gave me. When he got sick, I was there. Hospice visits, mid-schedules, meal prep. My brother came twice in 2 years. Grandpa noticed. One afternoon, while I was helping him organize his files, he looked at me and said, "You're the one who'll remember why things matter." I didn't know what he meant then. When he died, I thought grief was the worst thing coming. I was wrong. 2 weeks after the funeral, Dad called a family meeting. He's the executor. He had all the paperwork. We sat down. He pulled out a 1-page summary. No will attached. Just a list. Your brother gets the house, appraised at $780,000. He gets the brokerage account and the Chevy. He looked at me. You get Grandpa's toolbox and a $5,000 savings bond. I blinked. Can I see the actual will? I asked. Dad's jaw tightened. You don't trust me? My brother spoke up. Guess Grandpa knew who actually made something of themselves. Mom put her hand on my arm. Don't make this ugly, she said. Dad slid the summary toward me. Grandpa updated everything 6 months before he died. It's all legal. I need you to sign a release so we can close the estate. What if I don't? I asked. Then we'll involve lawyers. And trust me, you don't want that. My brother leaned forward. You can have the tools. I'm selling the car anyway. I looked at the paper. It was a photocopy, blurry, no signatures. No notary seal? I need 72 hours, I said. Dad's face went red. You have until Friday. Then this gets complicated. I walked out without another word. I drove straight to the county probate office. The clerk searched the system. Nothing's filed yet, she said. Executor has 30 days from date of death. I called Dad. No answer. I texted, read receipts on. No reply. The next morning, my brother posted on Instagram a photo of the Chevy keys. Caption, Legacy. I drove to the lake house. There was a realtor's sign in the yard. I tried the door. Locks changed. A neighbor walked over. Your brother was here yesterday, she said. Told me he's getting it ready to sell. I sat in my truck in that driveway for an hour. Friends started texting. Maybe Grandpa did change his mind. People get confused when they're old. I stared at the toolbox sitting in my passenger seat. It felt like a consolation prize. Had I misread everything? All those years in the garage. All those conversations. Had I imagined the connection? The sun started to set. I opened the glove box. Inside was an envelope. Grandpa had given it to me at Christmas 2 years ago. I'd never opened it. I tore the seal. Inside was a letter, handwritten. dated 18 months before Grandpa died. It said, "If your father's acting weird about my stuff, show him this." Folded inside was a photocopy of Grandpa's last will and testament. Signed. Notarized. Dated 2 years before his death. I read it 3 times. Section 4. Distribution of assets. Equal split 50-50 between both grandchildren. The lake house? Placed in a life estate trust. Neither of us could sell it for 10 years. The brokerage account? Split down the middle. The Chevy? Joint ownership, or one of us buys the other out at fair value. There was no mention of any 6-month update. No mention of my brother getting everything. Grandpa's note at the bottom said, "I know what favoritism does to a family. I won't do that to you two. You both get half. I know you'll keep this safe." The notary seal was clear. The date was rock solid. 2 years old. Grandpa had been sharp as ever back then. So where did Dad's new will come from? I took a photo of every page. Then I sent one image to Dad, no message. Just the picture of Grandpa's signature and the notary seal. I waited, 6 hours of silence. Then my phone lit up. Group text? Dad, my brother, Mom, me. That copy isn't valid. Grandpa made a new will with his attorney. If you contest this, you'll get nothing and you'll pay all the court costs. Sign the release by Friday. My brother piled on. Stop being selfish. This is what he wanted. You're embarrassing yourself. An hour later, Mom called. She was crying. Please don't tear this family apart. Your father knows what he's doing. Just let it go. I hung up. The next day, the realtor scheduled an open house. My brother started moving furniture out of the lake house. Posted another story. Boxes stacked in the driveway. Caption new chapter. A lawyer's letter arrived at my apartment. Certified mail. It said, "Frivolous challenges to this estate will be met with counterclaims for costs and fees. Proceed at your own risk." My partner looked at me. "If you don't fight this, you'll regret it forever." I had 3 days left. I needed to know if Dad's so-called new will was real or a lie. I made a call. A probate paralegal I found online offered a flat-rate consult. $200. I sent her everything I had. She called me back in 4 hours. "You need to see this," she said. She pulled Grandpa's medical records. I'd kept a release form from his hospice days. She cross-referenced the dates. 6 months before Grandpa died, his doctor documented cognitive decline. The report said, patient exhibits moderate impairment. Mini mental state exam score 18 out of 30. Lacks capacity for complex financial decisions. The date on that exam? April 28th. The date on Dad's so-called new will? May 14th. 2 weeks later. Grandpa legally couldn't make a new will at that point. But it got worse. The paralegal zoomed in on the witness signature. "Recognize this name?" she asked. I did. It was my brother's college roommate. The guy who became a notary to make extra cash on the side. Not an independent witness. Not even close. She highlighted another line. If this will was executed while your grandfather lacked capacity and the notary had a relationship with a beneficiary, that's undue influence. Maybe fraud. I stared at the screen. Either Dad didn't know or he helped fake it. I saved every page she sent. Then I texted my partner. We're not signing anything. I couldn't sleep. I kept asking, why would Dad do this? So I dug. Public records, LinkedIn, court filings. I found it. Dad had co-signed my brother's law school loans. $240,000. Still outstanding. Dad's own house? Refinanced twice. He was underwater. My brother's law firm? A startup that hadn't turned a profit. Their marketing emails begged for strategic partners. Code for we're broke. Then I looked at the lake house appraisal again. $780,000. Enough to clear both loans and leave a cushion. If Grandpa's real will stood, the house would go into a trust. Couldn't be sold for 10 years. Couldn't be borrowed against. That didn't work for them. They needed the whole asset. Right now, liquidated. It wasn't about honoring Grandpa. It wasn't even about favoritism. It was math. Cold, desperate math. They'd chosen their own financial survival over the truth. I took screenshots of the loan servicer portal, the firm's public filings, the refinance records. I didn't want revenge. I wanted the truth on the record. And I knew exactly what to do. I called a probate attorney the next morning. She worked on contingency. No money up front. I walked her through everything. The original will, the medical records, the notary conflict, the motive. She didn't blink. "You have a strong case," she said. "We file a caveat. It's a formal objection. Blocks the estate from closing." "How fast?" I asked. "I can file today. Do it." 2 hours later, it was done. A caveat. On the record. Case number assigned. The filing requested a forensic review of the contested will and a hearing on Grandpa's capacity at the time of signing. My attorney sent a courtesy copy to Dad's lawyer. One line in the cover letter: "We will let the court decide." I didn't call Dad. I didn't argue with my brother. I changed my phone number. Stayed with a friend. My attorney handled all contact. The hearing was set for 2 weeks out. I told my partner, "I'm done arguing. The receipts talk now." She asked if I was scared. I wasn't. For the first time in weeks, I felt calm. I'd done everything Grandpa taught me. I kept the paperwork. I stayed quiet. I let the truth do the work. Now we'd see if it was enough. The courtroom was small. Wood paneling, fluorescent lights, cold air. Dad sat on one side with my brother and their attorney. All three in dark suits. I sat on the other side with my lawyer. The judge walked in. Everyone stood. She didn't waste time. "This is a hearing on the caveat filed in the estate of..." She read Grandpa's full name. "Petitioner alleges the will submitted for probate is invalid. Let's see the contested document." Dad's attorney stood. "Handed up the new will, the one that gave my brother everything." My attorney rose. "Your Honor, we have 3 exhibits that call the authenticity of that document into serious question." She slid a folder across the bench. Exhibit A, the decedent's original last will and testament. Executed 2 years prior to death. Notarized by an independent third party. It provides for equal distribution to both grandchildren and places real property in a life estate trust. The judge opened it. Studied the notary seal. Exhibit B, medical records from the decedent's physician. Documenting moderate cognitive impairment and lack of capacity for complex financial decisions on the date the contested will was allegedly signed. The judge's expression shifted. Exhibit C, a preliminary forensic handwriting analysis. The signature on the contested will shows hesitation, tremor, and likely tracing, inconsistent with known exemplars from the same time period. My brother's face went white. Dad leaned over to whisper something to their attorney. The judge held up one hand. "I've seen enough for today. I'm ordering a stay on all distributions from this estate pending a full forensic review and a capacity evaluation by an independent medical examiner. All estate assets are frozen effective immediately." She looked at Dad. "No sales. No transfers. No borrowing against estate property. Is that clear?" Dad nodded. The gavel came down. My brother stood up fast. Didn't look at me. Walked out. Dad followed. I sat there for a minute, just breathing. My attorney put her hand on my shoulder. "That's as good as it gets at this stage," she said. I nodded. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. 3 months later, the forensic examiner filed her report. The signature on the contested will had been traced. Likely from a blank page Grandpa signed years earlier, maybe from a birthday card. The ink didn't match. The pressure patterns were wrong. Someone had fabricated it. Dad's attorney withdrew from the case the next day. A week after that, we got a settlement offer. Dad and my brother agreed to honor the original will. 50-50 split. Life estate trust on the lake house. No one could sell it for 10 years, but we could both use it. They didn't apologize. But they didn't fight anymore either. The estate closed under Grandpa's real wishes. My brother moved across the state. Took a corporate job to handle his loans. I haven't spoken to him since the hearing. Dad signed the final documents without a word. We don't talk. Mom sends a text every few weeks. I read them. I don't reply. I used my half of the brokerage account to endow a small scholarship at the community college Grandpa attended. It's for students in the trades program. His name is on a plaque in the machine shop wing. I went to the ribbon cutting, stood in the back. Didn't make a speech. The lake house is still there. I visited it once alone. Unlocked the door with the key Grandpa gave me years ago. I sat on the porch for a while. Then I locked it back up and left. The Chevy is in my garage. Still not restored, someday, but not yet. The toolbox stays in my truck. I learned something through all of this. Paperwork doesn't lie, and neither should family. I didn't get an apology. I didn't get my family back, but I got the truth on the record. And I kept Grandpa's real legacy intact. That's enough. So here's my question for you. If you were the forgotten one, what would you have done? Would you have settled or pushed for fraud charges? Drop a comment. I read every one. And if this story reminded you why documentation matters, hit that subscribe button. There's more where this came from. Oh, and one last thing. This is a fictionalized dramatization for educational and entertainment purposes. Not legal or financial advice. Always consult a licensed professional for your specific situation. Thanks for watching.